Good day and welcome to the Flexera Plus BDNA Partner Webinar. The webinar will be approximately 45 minutes with 15 minutes of Q&A at the end. If you have a question, please submit it at any time using the chat function and we will address it during the Q&A portion. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Marcus Lobus, Director of EMEA Alliances at Flexera. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year and welcome to our first partner webcast in 2018. My name is Marcus Lobus and I'm heading up the Alliances business for Flexera and EMEA. So as you might have heard already, we announced a new acquisition of the company BDNA in September last year. And the purpose of this session is to share with you more about the capabilities and high-level strategy of Data Platform, although I know it's still early stage of the integration process. This means we are still working on finalizing our go-to-market model, integration roadmap, pricing, and marketing strategies, and even the product names and packages you will hear of today might change a bit. So there's more to come in short term, but I want to give you as our valued partners the very early opportunity to assess the new capabilities and how it could benefit your customers and enhance your services and value to them. As you will see, the content is a key enabler for a variety of different use cases, which you will know best depending on your focus areas, and could deliver one of the fastest ROIs for your customers. I have to add that BDNA was predominantly active in North America, so there's a very limited set of partners today across the regions offering any services based on Technopedia, which could be a great opportunity for you. So I'm personally very, very excited about this acquisition, as I believe that this can bring Flexera to a new level. The game is changing. Okay, with this, I would like to introduce you to Adam Jeffries from former BDNA, who will guide you through our new capabilities. All lines will remain muted until the end of the session. So if you have any questions, as the operator said already, our chat is enabled so that we can handle some of them in the end. Otherwise, we can address them individually after the session as well. So please feel free to contact your respective alliance manager in your region. And if you don't know who this is, please contact me directly so that I can refer you to the right contact. All right, Adam, over to you.
Hello, thank you, Marcus, and thank you all for joining this webinar. A lot has happened over the last few months, but it's a really exciting time to be part of Flexera. And hopefully as the next few minutes unfold, you'll see exactly why Flexera was so enthusiastic about BDNA. Having been a BDNA employee when I was first introduced to Flexera's vision about reimagining the way software is bought, sold, managed and secured, I wasn't quite sure what to think. But actually, on reflection, it strikes at the heart of what I've been feeling about the technology world in recent years. I've been a massive fan of technology since a very, very young age. The memories of my dad buying a 286, 486 or Pentium computer, the long drive to go and buy a dot matrix printer, the strangely beautiful sound of a modem dialing the internet is ingrained on my brain. And the day we connected two PCs to a network and played multiplayer Doom was possibly one of the happiest days of my childhood. I loved it, absolutely loved it. In recent years, however, I'm not so thrilled. I've started to think, what's happening with my personal data? Is it safe, well protected? Who's got access to it? Who's buying it? What am I actually buying? What is the software made up of? Is it well built? What does it do behind the scenes? Do I have any vulnerabilities? Is it supported? Will I get patches? Are there alternatives? The list goes on. As a consumer, these concerns are replicated for business buyers, and with the move towards even more connectivity through IoT devices, the problems of a dysfunctional software supply chain will only multiply. It's the only industry where audits are common because suppliers and buyers don't know what's actually being purchased, used, and owned. They disagree constantly because there is a lack of transparency. These are some of the problems being addressed at Flexera. And for me, the acquisition of BDNA is a massive step towards uniting the software and buyer sides of the software supply chain. I'm sure we've all heard the phrase, software is eating the world. That's obviously true, but it's the underlying data which acts as the glue to bring everything together. The Flexera Data Cloud is that glue. We help suppliers automate and standardize how they monetize their products and track usage. We help buyers purchase only what they need, manage what they have, and use what they bought. The key is that we bring people and the data they need together by providing a common platform, language, and market intelligence that's open to all. That platform is the Flexera Data Cloud. So, imagine the many repetitive, boring tasks that you have to keep on top of that humans have automated. If we were to set up a quick poll, I'm sure washing the dishes, clothes, and cleaning the car won't appear on your bucket list. These tasks are mundane, relentless, but at the same time, they need to be done. They need to be done so that you can get on with doing the things that matter. And this is why inventors have thought up automated solutions to save us the hassle. What about technology asset data? Organizations need to know what they've got. So usually, they go out and buy a number of different discovery tools to gather that data. The trouble is, these tools have their particular area of speciality. They all report back in a different way, and it's really difficult to bring these data sets together. Data is missing. Multiple names exist for the same publisher. Data is returned in different columns. I don't know if this is something I should be managing, or it's some other miscellaneous file which exists on the hard drive or has been installed to support another program. Before I can do any basic reporting on my inventory, I need to clean the data to sort out the 10 or 20 different ways publisher or product names are listed. I need to research the blanks and might even attempt to fail to fill in the version numbers. But ideally, before tackling the millions and millions of rows of data, I really want to filter out the 90% or so of noise, such as hot fixes, help files, language packs, DLLs, etc., etc., etc. It's a thankless task, which is ultimately impossible to keep on top of if using manual methods. After spending a few weeks or months resolving these issues, only for the goalpost to move as hardware and software is retired or comes online, I'm also missing key information about my inventory. I don't know if there are any security vulnerabilities for this software which could potentially risk an embarrassing security breach and cost the organization millions. I don't know if there's a license for this product, or if it's using open source components, and that puts me at risk of being non-compliant with its use. I haven't got a clue if the software is supported, or if it's obsolete, or if I'm never going to get any updates or patches. And I also can't tell from this data, at a high level, what is the asset actually doing for the organization? I'm sure we can all associate with this problem. Every organization we speak to struggles with it every day. But let me show you what clean and enriched technology asset data can tell you about your estate. Let's start with looking at an example data set which has been processed by the Flexera Data Platform. I'll explain in a minute exactly what has happened to get to this point. But once we have all the data feeds processed, within a couple of clicks, I can now start to clearly see some of the discovery sources that have been part of the input. And I can also clearly see the categorization of these assets and then finally, the numbers of assets that we have currently running in the organization. Nicely laid out, very simple to be able to understand. If I want to start focusing on the entire estate rather than looking at actually which source of data this has come into, I can get an overview of my estate. Now, perhaps someone has just asked me to provide a report on the server estate. What physical servers are active? What operating systems are they running? And are they supported? So being able to quickly focus in on servers, we now don't need these columns, but then adding hardware information to be able to see what products and models we have in the organization is nice and simple. Again, adding operating system information to be able to see on those machines what's the make and manufacturer and the major minor versions for the operating system that's currently running. Very simple, very clean, enriched data about your technology estate. If we want to start focusing on whether this is a supported operating system, again, we have that information, and we can also start to tell you when this product went into end of life, which is when we deem that the product is going into some kind of paid support, or when this product is going into some kind of or when the support for this product will no longer be available, paid or otherwise. And so this is what clean and enriched data looks like. I can see I've got the manufacturer name clearly labeled, the products, the models, the information on the operating system, but also actionable data here ready to be viewed by someone and used. So we can see here a significant portion of our estate of operating systems are no longer supported. If I wanted to add the host name onto this report to be able to drill down and put in a plan of action to get these updated, we could very simply provide that information for people to use. Now you have seen an example of the results. How do we do it? Well, Technopedia is the heart and soul of the Flexera Data Platform. It's been growing for the last 10 to 15 years and is now the world's largest and most comprehensive database of technology asset data. We have an army of content engineers who use a variety of different methods as part of their data quality framework to gather, maintain, and update all of the 150 million market data points within the catalog. Currently, we have over 1.2 million products from over 38,000 manufacturers. The team are making 2,500 updates a day because we know that the accuracy and currency of the data within the catalog is what our customers rely on. With Flexera and BDNA content combined, it's the scale and accuracy of this content which sets us aside from the competition. One amazing aspect of the data platform is that it is a fully automated system for customers. Any remaining gaps go back to the content team who have a challenging set of SLAs to research and add products to Technopedia. This means that all customers of Technopedia benefit from other customers feeding new technologies into the database. It's also common that companies will task individuals with gathering information from the internet. So, doing this in-house, for example, maybe they need some lifecycle dates to investigate the currency of their estate. The lucky person tasked with gathering lifecycle dates will usually start searching Google and slowly adding these to a spreadsheet or some other tool. Problem is, this takes time. Data is never updated on an ongoing basis, and it is rarely shared with other groups in the company. It's not uncommon for manufacturers to change dates. It's also not uncommon for hundreds of technologies to be added or removed in an organization over a few months. Why set up and pay them to repeat this mundane and endless task yourself when you can buy a service for less cost and no effort to do it for you automatically. The Flexera Data Platform has been integrated with over 60 different technologies. The technologies listed are the most common sources of data we feed into the platform. Integrations, or extractors as we call them, are usually created using queries on the source database or via an API. The platform is technology agnostic, and we look to bring any relevant technology asset data into the platform. It doesn't have to be from a discovery tool, which is why customers input data from procurement systems or spreadsheets. Ultimately, the broader the range of relevant sources, the bigger the challenge, but the more value provided by the data platform. Once the sources are connected, the platform goes through the combined data set line by line and uses over 80 million deterministic rules to identify hardware and software products. If there's a match, it's a definite match. No ifs, no buts. And we're confident that the first time the platform runs on an environment, we would expect to get a high 80s, low 90s% match rate. For example, running this at a tier 1 bank, over 80,000 servers, we would send a 98% match rate for installed software. In today's fast-moving technology world, being able to say with confidence to senior executives that we know exactly what's running is hugely valuable. Once the platform has identified the products, it then aligns the source data set with Technopedia so that the results are based on consistent data collected from the manufacturers themselves. It is essentially an automated alignment service to Technopedia, which can be used as a company-wide standard in common language whenever anyone speaks about technology. Whenever procurement speaks to the ITAM team, they speak the same language. Whenever enterprise architects speak to the IT service management team, they speak the common language. And that's the key. The platform then aligns the output to the taxonomy that I showed earlier and starts to download any useful content subscribed to in Technopedia, such as lifecycle and support, Windows 10 compatibility, or security vulnerability information. Today, a wide variety of content exists to serve different projects. These are licensed as content packs and will only increase with the Flexera acquisition as we migrate supplier and buyer data into Technopedia, such as SKUs, product usage right libraries, or unpublished vulnerability data. Core and central to our strategy is making this clean and enriched technology asset data available for anyone in the organization to benefit from. In the same way as the input being tool agnostic, so is the output. If you need this data in a competing tool to Flexera, then that's okay. Transparency is key if we're going to reimagine the software supply chain. As you can see though, typically we see customers wanting this data to be populated into their service management, enterprise architecture, portfolio management, or IT asset management tools. So let's give you more of a view of the actual platform and how it runs. This is the normalization aspects of the Flexera Data Platform. On the left-hand side, we can see the data sources that have been brought into the system. So we can see that there's some information from ServiceNow, some HPUD, and some Microsoft SCCM data sources. We have also brought in some data mashups in orange from Active Directory, some organizational information, and some technology standards. The idea is that once this is installed, connected, and configured, then you will run this on a scheduled basis, say every day, a couple of times a week, every week, dependent upon a change in your environment. And the output is then automatically pushed into the downstream systems that you want to connect to it. If I go over here on the right-hand side, I can show you some high-level results. And this is where we can see the aggregation of those data sources. And firstly, the system will go through and identify all of the physical and virtual systems within that data feed. The tool will deduplicate. So if there are common records between different sources, then you can select which you want to be the master, and the tool will dedupe the data set. We can see here, though, that there are 11,007 unique hardware or virtual machines running in the organization. If I move to the next view, this is looking at software. And when we look at especially discovery information about software, we're talking about millions and millions of rows of data. And we find most of that data is largely irrelevant because it is the things like help files, language packs, hotfixes that get installed as part of a bigger package. So because we're identifying all of the products that are in the data set, we can then start to label most of it as irrelevant. And this is hugely valuable to companies in that we're going down from 5.3 million rows of data down to just under 300,000 rows of data that we believe are specific about your definitive software inventory position. And we enrich those with other information from Technopedia, such as lifecycle. There is also a gap here, and that gap will automatically go to the content team to research if there are new rules to be configured, whether it's new products to be added to Technopedia and researched, or it might also be a gap because there's in-house developed software or products, and we have a solution called Private Catalog that can be used to document in-house developed products and store whatever attributes you want to about that are in Technopedia. We can also provide mapping capabilities so that they are automatically mapped and that they don't resemble a gap at the end of normalization. And then, so moving into highlights, here we have a huge reduction in data, which is very common. But if I go into the manufacturer visualization and Cisco systems, this is a view as to all of the different products with a manufacturer that is now Cisco systems being rationalized back. So importantly, what's happening here is that we can identify products even when we don't have a manufacturer name, it's blank. We can do it when there's the common changes such as Cisco Systems or Cisco Systems Inc. or Cisco Systems Inc. dot. But also very importantly, we can help you manage these products on an ongoing basis. If there are any merger acquisition activity, if products have been bought or sold by companies, then the day that becomes the new legal owning entity for the product, you rerun normalize and you will have that represented in your data set automatically. This continually happens, continually feeds your downstream applications, and ultimately people don't even need to know that the Flexera Cloud is processing the data, but it's available for people to be able to use, and it is up to date and accurate. So that's the processing of the data. If I now move in and show you a couple of other reporting aspects that we can perform on the data set. The platform comes with its own reporting interface, which you can see here. And this can be used for a wide range of different reports on the data set. So for example, say someone's wanting to talk to me about our Windows 10 migration project, and we want to know what's happening in terms of what products do we have that are currently supported or compatible with Windows 10. So adding here to my report, I can get a view of the distinct products, the versions that are made up of those products, and the numbers of installations that we currently have in our estate. Interestingly, pretty much 70% or so of the estate is actually not compatible or end of life. What we have here is the content team go to the manufacturer, and if the manufacturer tells us that this is a Windows 10 compatible product, that's what we capture in Technopedia. You are also gaining some value around our lifecycle information here as well, because obviously if this is a migration to a new platform, it's a perfect time to be able to start looking at the currency of your applications and why migrate something that's already gone into extended support or has gone into a not supported life cycle. Be able to provide a little more detail, I can add on a status view so that we can start saying, okay, for things that are not compatible, what's a free upgrade? What's a paid upgrade? And if I focus down on paid, it's probably more interesting to me as part of managing this project. Then I'll show you what normalized data looks like, cleaned and enriched data looks like from a software perspective. So adding here, we can now start to see the manufacturer, market version of this particular software that's no longer compatible to Windows 10. But also importantly, with the Windows 10 compatibility pack, we give you a view as to the products that are compatible. And so we can tell you as part of the migration process that Meeting Center 30.2 is the only version and above that will be compatible with Windows 10. Now that's great for being able to give you a starting point for a migration project, being able to understand where you need to get to and the products that you might need to bring into the organization. What you might want to do is to be able to start analyzing this to start looking at other further opportunities. And this is where the benefits of having a centralized data management platform in place can really start to pay dividends. So for example, I'm just removing some of these columns so I can start looking at these paid products that require an upgrade to actually see what are they, what type of tools have we got that may well need to be paid to upgrade it. Now we've got 12 analytics packages here. That seems significant. Do we need to upgrade all of them? Do we think we might be able to get similar capabilities from a smaller set of tools shared amongst the whole group? And there can be a huge amount of value gained from this type of a view in terms of a rationalization project, to be able to start looking at overlapping technologies and to be able to start understanding where you might be able to make some savings. What you can also do is start to use different data sets to be able to give you a slightly different perspective on the data. So for example, we imported some organizational information as part of the normalization process. So perhaps we might want to start seeing actually what parts of the organization are using some of these software packages that need upgrading. And very quickly, I can now start to see for analytics packages who in China, in sales, are using two different products. Now, there's a split here where there's low numbers of products, low numbers of software installs. So again, we might be able to start getting some sharing of these tools and to be able to start standardizing on a smaller set moving forward. But this is a good example of where having actionable data set in the first place really helps to drive that decision-making process. I'd just like to finish with one more report. I've shown you how we're able to start looking at the multiple data sources combined, but I'd like to give you a view as to also how multiple content packs can be used together to be able to drive actionable decisions about the technology estate. So for example, someone's come to me, they've asked me a question about what database management systems we've currently got running in the organization. So I can add a filter, I can add database management systems, and then add the products and their versions onto my report very quickly, and also start to see the numbers of installations. Now, this person has come to me because actually they're from security and they're interested in understanding what security vulnerabilities are against these products. And because of the InfoSec content pack, that means that I can start putting onto my report data that has been fed from the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the NIST National Vulnerability Database. So we can see an automatic alignment between the baseline Technopedia information that we have about this organization's estate. We know the number of its installations, but now we can start seeing actually how many different instances of vulnerabilities do we have, and more importantly, which are the critical, which are the high severity vulnerabilities that we really need to be eradicating from our estate. We can see most of our estates based on SQL Server, so I'm just going to focus down on that. But being able to then start saying, well, if that's the current estate, we want to be able to patch our high severity instances so that we can protect ourselves from those vulnerabilities. What I can do to help me with this analysis is use a different life cycle, a different content pack. So the life cycle and support content pack. And if I add the obsolete year, which is when this product is no longer supported by the vendor, and perhaps also put some conditional colouring on so that I can start to pick up on important areas. As I move through, I can see that we've got 13,000 high severity incidents, vulnerabilities, against a product that has no longer been supported since 2013. I'm not going to be able to patch this. We're stuck with this. We need to migrate off this platform as soon as possible. And this is a good example of where we can start using Technopedia and the content packs to be able to start guiding future work and maintenance and reducing of risk in that estate. So I've shown you how the Flexera Data Platform can provide clean and enriched technology asset data, which is decision ready. The output is actionable and can be used on a wide range of different initiatives and projects. This platform is designed to be open and accessible through websites, reporting engines, and an API, so that the data can be integrated within any tool in the organization which needs to share the same definitive technology asset inventory. The BDNA acquisition is going to allow Flexera to break into new markets, as we want this data to be available to all. This is happening now, and it means that, as you can see, we have no issue in providing this data to companies traditionally viewed as competitors. That's because we want to drive transparency in the software supply chain, and an open data platform for technology asset data is one of the steps in delivering the strategy. For you, this means that if you need lifecycle and support information, if you need security vulnerability information, if you need sizes and power ratings of servers, we can provide it to you in a format or tool that you can consume the data and deliver value on your projects. This means that rather than the adage of rubbish in, rubbish out, you can use the data platform to ensure the organization can be confident that relevant quality data is the starting point. This is, in some part, why TechValidate's independent research shows that 50% of customers using the data platform see 100% ROI in the first month. This is a solution that pays for itself. The Flexera Data Platform is a fantastic product which partners can use to drive value and revenue. There is such a wide variety of service offerings which can be underpinned by clean and enriched technology asset data. For example, support and IT service management tool implementation or migration projects. Help advise and plan for a Windows 10 migration project. Drive a quick hardware or software rationalization service. Produce a high-level security vulnerability assessment. Run a hardware or software obsolescence assessment. Streamline a company's IT inventory in a merger and acquisition scenario. Or simply deliver a common, single source of truth technology asset repository. The list goes on, and I'm sure we'll see many more creative ways of applying the data platform to provide value. Please come to us to discuss any thoughts or ideas on how you could leverage the capabilities or content of the Flexera Data Platform. But with that, I'd like to close, and I'll pass it back to Marcus to see if we've got any questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Adam. Thanks for this nice overview. So again, I can remind you, if you have any questions, just use the chat. I already received some questions during your presentation, Adam. One question is, can I use this to populate the inventory in FNMS?
Yes, absolutely. We're working towards that, and we will have that connector available to be able to feed into the inventory and FlexNet Manager Suite in the coming weeks ahead. We will deliver that in Q1. We have also had the ability to extract data out of the that repository and to be able to normalize that as a data source as well.
Okay, thank you. Another question is if this is available on-premise or on a cloud solution, as not all customers would send inventory or asset data into the cloud.
Yes, so at the moment we have our V5 platform, which I've been demonstrating. That is typically installed on site on an organization. We have many customers in highly secure environments and understand all of those implications. It can be also hosted for you at the moment. We have a cloud-first V6 platform which is being completely redesigned and built, which will be available later this year as well, when we'll have both options. But currently, you would typically install this on site.
Okay. Then there's a question around the audit acceptance.
So audit acceptance, so people do and have used this for their own internal audits. They have used it to try and defend audit positions because you can get a very clear view of your inventory of hardware and software assets. In terms of, if the question is more around certifying an audit defense, such as, say, IBM, certifying the use of its tool, then you would need to use the FlexNet Manager Suite or the options there to defend that in front of a specific manufacturer who needs certification in the tooling. But it can certainly act as a feed into those tools, or otherwise Flexera have tools that can perform that for you.
Okay. Then there are multiple questions which are about how it will be integrated into FNMS.
Well, yeah, so at the moment, in the coming weeks, we will have a formal release of a connector to be able to take inventory data, normalized data from the data platform and push it into the FlexNet Manager Suite. We have the ability to take data from that, but ultimately that's the first formal deliverable in our roadmap moving forward. We will then also be migrating all of the content that tools such as FNMS uses, such as the Perl libraries or product usage libraries. Those will be migrating into Technopedia and will be consumed using the API into those tools. Towards the second half of this year, we will have done the crosswalk between our content, BDNA content and Flexera content. We will be combining them, and where there are specific just Flexera content that's relevant to be put into Technopedia, we will be moving that into the Technopedia and providing it via the content pack concept.
Okay, thank you. Another question is this BDNA module also available independent from Flex and Manager Suite?
Yes, absolutely. This is a completely standalone solution and offering. So you can use this to be able to, just do the report, take the data feeds and do the reporting that I've shown you. You don't require any other components from Flexera. It's completely open to use on its own. We're obviously bringing together some exciting strategies and roadmaps to be able to make sure that the combined Flexera BDNA offering is even more compelling, but it can be used on its own or in conjunction with other tools.
Okay. Some somewhat technical questions are if we are able to see the instance names that the given software is on which system.
So by instance, I would take that as host name. But yes, absolutely, you can pull reports that say this is the specific host and all of the software, related software that's installed on that host. If the discovery source is bringing in information about that host and its CPU, its the hard drive that it's got, memory, you can start to normalize things like even monitors or network equipment and others as well. But yes, absolutely, you can get to the instance level in terms of a host name, and you can start to look at everything that's installed on that host.
Okay. Another quite technical question, which I probably just read out because I probably don't understand it, is if we are already also counting the clusters, host and virtual running on host during the license compliance calculation for SQL. Does the report based on 2-core CPU license type vendor policy? Oh my God.
Okay, so at the moment, that question is very much focused on capabilities from the FlexNet Manager Suite. That's the tool of choice for looking at license compliance and software license optimization. What you can do is process data sets that have SQL databases. You can start to look at the underlying hosts, and you can start to pull the cores and the processors from that hardware and bring that into report in BDNA, the data platform part. But to do that properly and certifiably, that would be a use case that would still remain in the FNMS suite of products.
Okay, thank you. Another question is that Technopedia, that someone heard that Technopedia may replace today's FNMS AIL and SKU library, etc. Is that something which is planned, or how does the integration will be?
Yes, as I just said, it's a similar answer to this question. So we are looking to, we are currently looking at all of the content that exists in BDNA and Flexera offerings. We're looking to those things that have been mentioned, such as queues or pearls, product usage right libraries, and we will be bringing those into content packs within Technopedia, so that the data platform and data cloud will be the online single source of truth that people can access license metrics or that type of content directly using the API or using some of the reporting in the data platform. The other tools around Flexera, such as FNMS, will use an API into Technopedia to be able to bring that data in and then use it as part of their license position calculations.
Okay, I have some more questions which are more roadmap related. I just have to remind you, so the acquisition took place in September. So as it was fiscal year end, we decided to let both companies kind of run by their own until the end of the year. So the real integration is just starting. So we don't have a full visibility on all roadmap items yet. I hope we will get it quite soon and that we can share it quite soon with you. So there are some questions if, for example, FNMS and BDNA will be on one user interface, and when we're expecting to have a tested and released integration to BDNA. Maybe the second part you might give at least an estimate, very roughly. Are you able to do this, Adam?
Well, so the integration into FlexNet Manager Suite will be done in Q1 of this year. It will be in a matter of weeks, and we are looking to consolidate content towards the middle to the second half of this year. Those are the main two things that we're communicating at this time, but as you say, we'll be able to provide more clarity as time goes on as to exactly when these capabilities and things will be delivered, and other new ones.
Okay. Then there's a question, can BDNA show the differences in data between the source inputs like SCCM, ServiceNow Discovery?
So you can see the different data feeds, and you can start to see which items are coming from different discovery sources. You can also use the reporting to be able to give you some insight in potentially some deficiencies in discovery. So, for example, if there is a particular set of machines that we still identify and we can see that in the output, if it hasn't or if normalization hasn't been able to specifically identify its product or its model, then that could be because the discovery source isn't polling the instances in enough detail. It's not retrieving enough detail to be able to bring that down and get a definitive match in BDNA, in the Flexera Data Platform, I should say. So it's a case where you can absolutely see differences in those discovery sources, and you can also use some reporting to be able to uncover differences and potential gaps or potential areas that might have been missed, because you can say with confidence that what has been identified is a definite identification. We know it's there. It's a lot easier for you to start looking at gaps and starting to look at areas that aren't addressed as well, and they're easy to uncover in some of the reporting when you use the data platform.
Thank you. I have another question. Can the customer browse all of the data in the library or only what is discovered? For example, if they want to pick hardware to order, can they find the product in BDNA so that they are using standard naming convention from the start of the process?
Absolutely, yes. So this is, again, at the heart of why we want this to be a common language and understanding around the whole organization. So I've shown you a normalized inventory and the reporting on that, but you can simply search Technopedia as a website. You can search for dates. You can search for any of the attributes that I've shown in reporting in a website interface. You can use the API to be able to query the database to be able to find items that aren't in your inventory but potentially you're considering buying. So yes, absolutely. You can see a context-specific view such as I've shown you today, but you can also search the 2.1 million products using a website, API, or other tools as well.
Thank you. So I just have two remaining questions which are kind of pointing to the same direction if this presentation is available for download. So we are recording this session. A direct download of this presentation won't be available, but if you have a specific case, so please feel free to contact your alliance manager to see how we can help, and also maybe bring in Adam to support if you have a specific customer case. Otherwise, as I said in the beginning, we are quite in the beginning of this process in the integration, so a lot of sales tools and how we can support you for your customers in delivering some presentations or giving you an enablement course on how to do this. This is everything which we are currently discussing, and we will announce shortly. All right, these are all questions I got, and we are still good in time. So I think we can close for now. So I thank everyone for participating this session and for the interest, and also for these many questions. If there are any questions remaining which maybe come to your mind later on, or you want to discuss any specific use cases with us, so please feel free to come to us, and so we're happy to discuss this. All right, Adam, thanks a lot for doing this presentation for us. And I wish everyone a nice weekend, and hope to talk to all of you soon. Thank you.